Hi, it's Elizabeth here. So today I'm just going to go ahead and share some thoughts on a blog post that I recently wrote, which is Your Body is a Temple. So really we have to stop abusing it. We're at this point now in humanity where, especially in America, where the health epidemics are starting to get out of control, not only with things like obesity and arthritis and diabetes, but also with certain diseases such as cancer. So if you have no spiritual kind of background, there is this thought in kind of the spiritual community, and the Bible even talks about it. It's 1 Corinthians 6:19. It's this thought that your body is a temple. So basically what this means is that your body is a mere reflection to the outer world. Therefore, your inner world is a reflection of the outer world. If you've ever traveled to Europe or to Asia, we are basically kind of blown away by these beautiful, amazing structures and these ancient temples and churches that were built hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, because these structures are not only beautiful on the outside, but they are wonderful, magnificent, and beautiful on the inside. You've never walked into a church where there's just trash and junk and everything kind of laying around, and boxes and garbage cans and things like that. It's usually a very clean and proper place. I studied yoga in India a long time ago, and in 2008 I lived in a yoga ashram in Brisbane, and every day we were required to clean that yoga center. We were on our hands and knees scrubbing the floor with toothbrushes and wet towels, basically. And so there is this thought that if your home life or your temple or whatever is pure and clean, not only does it help increase the flow of thoughts and increase the flow of positive energy, but it's kind of putting ourselves at a higher standard to not only take care of the world that you live in, but also your own world. So some people might find this weird, but really your body is its own ecosystem. It's like its own jungle or its own garden, and every garden needs tender love and care and nourishment. It needs light, it needs rest, it needs the sun and the moon, it needs basically everything in terms of quality nutrients and hydration in order for a garden to flourish, regardless of if it's a flower garden or a produce garden. So when we start talking about your body being a temple, we really have to start looking at taking care of your health. Your health is wealth, basically, and you can't take back your health. So you kind of do reap what you sow. If you are very promiscuous and you don't use protection, there is a higher rate of getting an STD. If you don't take care of your health and you eat McDonald's every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're probably going to get a disease. If you smoke a pack of cigarettes every day for 30 years, you're most likely going to develop lung cancer. So how you treat yourself on the outside is equally as important as how you treat yourself on the inside. And because we are living in such a superficial culture these days, a lot of people are really good at taking care of their physical appearance on the outside, but they're really horrible at taking care of themselves on the inside. This not only comes through what they ingest, but also by how they think of themselves, how they treat themselves, and this kind of also is how they treat others. We live in such a consumeristic culture that marketing is really great at navigating and manipulating the mind to believe like, oh, you can ingest this chemical or these GMO foods and it won't have anything, it won't have an adverse effect on you, especially because science said so, that GMO foods are okay to consume, which to me it's just common sense that it wouldn't, because nature has been producing this stuff for thousands of years prior to GMO foods, but that's a whole other topic. But when we're looking at our body as a temple, we really have to start prioritizing and taking care of ourselves, not only through what you eat and how much water you consume, but also through your thoughts and also your spiritual well-being. The spiritual well-being component is very much lacking today, especially if you're looking at kind of hardcore atheists. As a health coach, I've had the opportunity to work with people, a lot of people who work in the tech industry, but I'm also noticing that there is a linkage between atheism and how a lot of people treat their body. Now, I can't say that everyone who is an atheist is exactly this way. However, I do see that there is a big linkage between people who have absolutely no spiritual faith, kind of wreck and abuse their bodies or become a little bit reckless through certain things like drugs, a lot of sex, and or having certain qualities like the polyamorous group of people. And I'm not saying that this is good or bad. I'm not getting on that topic. I'm just saying that when you start to look at your body, you can kind of compare it to, what do you want it to be? Do you want it to be a woodshed or a garage, or do you want it to be a temple? We have the choice. We have the choice to choose what we do to ourselves emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And so, for example, I've lived my life thinking about my body as a temple, so trying to be beautiful on the outside and the inside. Now, we're not perfect human beings. You know, we are going to drink or eat bad food and stuff like that every now and then. But the thing is, you don't want to be a woodshed. I use the analogy of a woodshed just due to the fact that you don't want to be a garage where a bunch of junk is just coming in. Sometimes that could mean, you know, someone's a pushover, or you just let any guy or girl enter your life without just being cautious or questioning their intentions, and then you find yourself, you know, emotionally manipulated and things like that. So there is a difference, obviously, between being a garage and as well as a temple. And for most people, finding a balance in between both is ideal. It's not saying it's this hard line where you always do this or never do that. I mean, this is a human experience, so you do want to have fun and enjoy certain things. But at some point, being the garage or the woodshed, it's going to catch up on you. It's going to catch up to some degree. And when things catch up to you, it's going to lead somewhere to adverse health effects. You know, you might lead you into a therapist's office crying in tears, or it might lead you into the doctor's office crying because now you've developed cancer or something like that. So, you know, I would love to hear some of your thoughts on what you think about this. But the funny thing is, health is kind of growing these days. People are more cognizant and conscious on what they are consuming. So certain things like the natural food and organic food industry has increased. It's because people are really questioning what is in these things. But also, I think, too, with some moral compass values. I do think socially we are being engineered to destruct ourselves, basically. And we really have to start questioning how certain things are sustainable long term. So, for example, a lot of the young tech kids in their 20s, they can't sustain this type of level and work in your 30s and 40s. It doesn't work, especially if you want to have a family. You can only ride the freight train for so long until shit starts to crumble. So eventually things will just catch up to us one day when we continue to abuse our bodies. So that's basically the moral of this story. I would love to hear some of your thoughts. Definitely feel free to check out the blog link below that I wrote about this. But I do believe that we are very much a reflective. Our own body, our mind, our soul, our spirit is very reflective on the outer world. One other example is your bone structure. That's kind of like the foundation and base of a building, and then the wall and everything is symbolic to the muscles. So obviously, if you don't have a strong foundation, you're going to have weak walls and things will start to collapse. So these are just some food for thought to think of. And just remember, life isn't perfect, but we do need to just start to consider that when things start spiraling out of control, especially with our emotional and mental health, we are going to go ahead and start to gravitate toward things that make us feel better. And a lot of these things come through methods of self-love. So anyways, some simple thoughts. Please subscribe below, and I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.